Unit 2, Lesson 8. I can rotate a figure on a coordinate plane and describe the new coordinates. So this is the last type of transformation, which means change. It's a rotation. So we knew translation to slide, reflect to flip, and now rotate really means to turn. So a rotation is a transformation that turns each point in a figure around a fixed point, which we're going to call the center. It has both direction and magnitude. So let's talk about direction first. Imagine, I'm standing here on the edge of the clock, and I want to rotate around the center of the clock. There's the center, the fixed point of my rotation. And think of a rope coming out to my feet, and I want to rotate this direction. Well, that right there is not at all what I want to do, because this is an example of clockwise. Forgive me. Let's say I want to rotate this direction. Much better, because that is an example of how clocks go, or clockwise. Imagine I'm standing here again, but now I want to go counter. Counter means against. So against the way clocks normally go would be to go this direction. So clockwise, counterclockwise are the two directions we're going to say for when we're rotating. So now let's talk about magnitude, which is how far. So 90 degrees clockwise, let's just put a little dot down, okay? And let's say I'm hanging out right here, and I want to go 90 degrees clockwise. Well, think of clocks, okay? Here I am out here. I want to go 90 degrees, which would be this way. And I've gone 90 out of the whole 360. This is my pre-image. This, so I'll put a little prime on me, is my image. What about 180 degrees? Here's my center of rotation. Here I am hanging out here. If I go clockwise now, I'm going this direction, but I'm going to go 90 plus another 90 is 180 degrees. And then there I am, and I'll put the prime on because that's my image, my after. Here's my before, my pre-image. Let's do clockwise again. But this time, why don't we try 270? There I am, 90, 180, 270 degrees. Keep in mind I could do these same number of degrees, the same magnitude, but instead of clockwise, I could go counterclockwise. Last one, 360. My favorite. Here I am, I'm hanging out. Let's go 360 clockwise. Clockwise is this direction. 90, 180, 270, 360. Back where I started. So here I am, and then I'm prime on top of myself. So direction, either clockwise or counterclockwise. And magnitude, how many degrees are you moving? So let's go ahead and try a problem. This one tends to be the most confusing, so let's go slow on this. Let's go ahead first and plot these points for C, D, E. C is at 5, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. Okay, that is C. D is at 6, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's D. E is at 1, 2. 1, 2. Go ahead and close out my triangle here. This is the figure that I'm working with. And this, of course, is my pre-image. Okay. Now, what am I working on here? Well, I want to, now that I've plotted my pre-image, I want to rotate. So that's key that you always find your find. You're rotating here. Okay, so I'm going to circle it. I like to circle my finds. Figure CDE 90 degrees counterclockwise. And I like to annotate. Which way is counterclockwise? Oh yeah, it's going to be this direction. And I'm going 90 degrees. So 90 would be if I was starting here to there. So I'm doing that about the origin. Now this is the origin here. And that means I'm rotating around this, as if there's a rope coming out to each of these points from the origin. So you're rotating around, always facing the origin as you go. If this was my center of rotation, I would rotate around it. So we're going to rotate around the center, the origin as our center of rotation. And we're going 90 counterclockwise. So you can tell counterclockwise is going to be that direction. So I'm going to end up over here in quadrant 2. This is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, 3, 4, somewhere. And there's a bunch of ways to do this. You could just turn your paper now and see it. So if I go 90 degrees, put my finger on the center of rotation, that's 90 degrees. But this could be a little confusing for you because what are the new coordinates? This is not x anymore. This is still y. The up and down is always y. So if that's a little confusing to you, that these are your new coordinates, some people like to write this new one down. E prime is going to be at -1, -2, so -2, 1. Some people like to write them down on the side for each of these, what these new coordinates are. Put it back, look at their notes, and go plot it. I think it's a great way. Here's the way I like to do it, just to keep things straight in my brain. I like to grab a piece of graph paper, and I like to just copy this really quickly. And so I'm going to go ahead and go out 1, 2, here's E. I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up 1, that's C. Over 6, up 1, 2, 3, 4, that's D. Okay, so why did I just plot that like this? Because look, I'm going to zoom out for a second. It's the way I like to do it. Put them side by side. Here's my pre-image. This is going to end up being my image. I have to go 90 degrees. Which direction? Counterclockwise. So here I go around the center. That's 90 degrees. I only did a quarter turn. That's 90 out of the 360. Where is this right now? Well, let's just plot them. It looks like E, which is now E prime, is at -2, 1. -2, 1. So let's go plot that point. -2, 1. This is E prime. Where is C? C is at -1, 5. -1, 5. That's C prime. I'm just copying this over here. Where's D? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. -4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. -4, 6. This was -1, 5. So -4, 6. Let's go put that down. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's D prime. Go ahead and connect. And you're good to go. You rotated this 90 degrees here. This becomes your image. I like the graph paper because it tells me exactly where I should be and I can compare the two. But you can also do it the other way I showed. No problem. Again, you started here, just like this. You did 90 degrees to end up in the second quadrant, and I just copied it over. Let's try one more. You are going to plot this figure. It's the exact same one, but we're rotating this time. That's my find. But how many degrees? Well, 180 this time. And what's the direction? Clockwise. So for me, that would be this direction, and it's 180 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to do the exact same thing, and here's the nice part. I can just take my last sketch and cross out the new coordinates. This here is my pre-image. It's the same one. So I'm going to go ahead and plot it again really quickly. This right here was E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was C, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. And that's D. Okay. So again, this is the pre-image. And here's another copy of my pre-image. I want to rotate, but this time clockwise. So I'm going to be going this direction. And I'm going to be going from around the origin. Okay, I want to go 180 degrees. So I'm going to do it over here on this one. Let's take a look. Here I go. That's 90. And let me do this for a second real quick. Be a little easier to see. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, here we go. So let's go 90. Okay, that's 90 clockwise, going this way. But we don't want to go 90, we want to go 180. So let's go one more quarter turn. So here's another 90 degrees. There we go. So we ended up over in quadrant 3 this time. Quadrant 1, 2, 3. And let's just take a look at our points. E happens to be -1, -2. This is -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -1. Uh-oh. -5, -1 for C. And D happens to be -6, -4. So I'm just going to copy these guys right over here. Let me see. E is -1, -2. That's E prime, but not prime actually. I asked you to call it double prime because this is the second transformation I'm doing. So I'm going to say double prime. C happens to be at -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down 1. This is C double prime. And finally, D is going to be over here. D double prime at -6, -4. That's my image. I advise using the graph paper, but you can still use the first method I showed. Just do the rotation, write down the new coordinates, put the paper back, and use those to make your image. Good luck.